So for 2021, I'm working on a new me. Pretty much a new me that is going to plan ahead, set aside sinking funds to pay for future expenses like holiday gift shopping, and still tackle the debt that I've accrued this past year. I know that I've accrued quite a bit from November and December, so I've thought about 5 different ways that I can make some extra cash on the side to kind of offset the balance that I've already added. So the first thing that I'm doing is selling my stuff. I have a bunch of stuff sitting in this house and sitting in the garage that I haven't used for years, or I plan to use but never really got around to. A lot of things that I've tried in the past that has always worked for me over the years is selling my stuff on Facebook Marketplace, selling on Craigslist, having a garage sale, and back in my college days, I actually sold my stuff at a local swap meet. It was probably one of my favorite things to do, surprisingly, was selling my stuff at a local swap meet. A few of my girlfriends and I got together and we just split the cost of renting out a space to park our car and have our stuff out front. And it cost $20 to just rent this little square and set up our own tables and just put all our junk out that we felt like we had no need for. I pretty much tried to have a variety of things that I knew I wasn't going to want to bring home from college or I didn't want to move with because I was moving pretty much every year from a different apartment. So that ended up being a huge success. I mean, it was like 3 of my girlfriends and me, we split the $20, the cost of the $20 to rent the space, and that was $5 each. And we made that money back in no time. We got there early, we set up, and pretty much people were already there ready to shop at like 5 a.m. And this swap meet pretty much closed around noon or 1 in the afternoon. So we pretty much just sold as much as we could and took the rest to Goodwill that didn't sell, that we didn't want to bring back. But just from that, selling my stuff there, I made about $300, which was a good chunk of change back in the college days, and it still is a good chunk of change now. So now I still have my garage sales. I know that we have a local swap meet here, but I haven't taken advantage of it yet, and I think that that's something that I'm going to be doing once it's safe to do so. Currently, I'm selling a lot of my stuff on Facebook Marketplace, which I love. It's so easy to do. I pretty much rummage through all the junk that I have because I'm pretty much a clutter bug, and I think that I've gotten that from my mom. So I pretty much gather everything I want to sell, set it aside, and it makes such a huge difference when you take the things that you do want to sell on Facebook Marketplace and clean it up. Just briefly, I'm using like a Clorox wipe or something to just give it some shine so that it looks great for pictures. I typically take a few pictures from different angles and I post it on Facebook Marketplace, and I'll typically set it for a little bit of a higher price of what I ideally would like to get, because I know that a lot of times people will negotiate with me for something lower. And when they do, it's often a price that I already had in mind that I was going to accept anyways. It's super easy, and I've made a lot of great money on it just selling stuff that I didn't need anymore. For example, I recently sold a coffee maker that I didn't need anymore. I recently upgraded my coffee maker since I've been working from home full time. I really needed an espresso maker, something strong to kind of get me through my days. And I really didn't have a use for my old coffee maker anymore. I cleaned it up with some soap and water, and I took pictures, posted it up, and it sold within a day. I actually got a few offers, and I took the first one that was willing to pay. And I pretty much, they lived a little bit further. They weren't that close in my area. And I said, hey, I'll deliver if you're willing to pay a little bit extra more. And they were totally willing to pay for me to deliver this item to them. So I did that and I made a trip out of it. It was great. And I also really like contactless delivery. So I just dropped it off. They Venmo'd me. We didn't have to exchange any cash, which was great. So I love and prefer when a lot of people that are buying my stuff just Venmo me because it's so much easier. And the second thing that I'm doing is returning the items that I bought within the last 90 days. That's been really helpful for me, and it's a good thing that I've been keeping my receipts. I tend to keep receipts for stores like Costco that I know has a generous return policy. It's been great for me to kind of look through the items that I recently bought and ask myself again, do I really need this right now? Or do I plan on using it? So I've been able to take back quite a few items and get a refund for the full price at Costco. And I really love Costco's return policy for that. But I mean, even Amazon and other stores, as long as you're within your 90 days, they're usually pretty generous with the returns. There's also Target, where if you have the red card, they pretty much don't even need a receipt because they already have all the information on your red card that you purchased with, and you can return stuff there with no receipt at all. Number 3 is taking advantage of using your points to buy gift cards instead of taking advantage of the cash back. I did the math and I realized that I get more bang for my buck when I actually exchange my points or redeem my points for gift cards online than if I were to exchange them for cash back to pay off, my balance. I know that people don't necessarily advise for you to use your credit cards, but if you're smart with them, you can still totally use your credit cards as long as you're great at paying off your balance at the end of every month. So I really loved using my points for that, especially when I felt like I was really tight on money and I needed to get some gifts for family and friends, and gift cards are always a great idea for the holidays. So when I did the math, I realized about 1,000 points on my card gets me about $10 gift card. And a lot of the choices are pretty great. I try to use gift cards get gift cards that I know will be used like for Amazon, for grocery stores, or, for getting gas. That has been a great saver for me, and I definitely take advantage of the month of December because I notice that there's a lot of sales, and a lot of times those gift cards through your credit card will have sales where you can get a $10 gift card for less than 1,000 points, which is great, which means you get to save a little bit more. I took advantage of a great deal with Target. They had their 10% off on gift cards. So I took advantage of that, and I know that it's a store that I'm always going to shop at on a monthly basis for, daily household items. Number 4 has been a great little side hustle for me for a while, and it's interpreting. I'm bilingual, so I'm able to speak 2 languages, and surprisingly, this one came to me. I had listed that I was bilingual on LinkedIn, and a lot of people reached out to me for interpreting, and I ended up being able to set my own prices as a freelancer or consultant, and I was able to set a price for pretty much $40 for an hour, and I said that my requirements was regardless of how long the appointment was, I needed to get paid for a minimum of at least 2 hours. So $40 an hour for 2 hours, which is $80. I thought that was a pretty easy gig since it was pretty easy for me to interpret for families at appointments, and I loved doing it. I thought it was such a fun gig, and I loved being able to kind of have a flexible schedule with it. And a lot of the families or, clients that I had really loved me and called me back for, future appointments, which I thought was great. Oh, and not to mention that you also get to charge for the mileage. So however many miles it was, I got reimbursed for the recommended, price per mile in your state. And that was also, a great little chunk of change that got added to my paycheck. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to continue with interpreting gigs. Now there has been some new regulations in place where you actually need a business license now to provide interpreting services. But it was really fun while it lasted, and I think that in the future I may just consider getting a business license for it. But you should check with your state or your city and see what the regulations are, what you may need to provide interpreting services. There's a lot of different companies that are just looking for freelancers or contractors, so you can always reach out to them and ask them for information on how you can be an interpreter. Lastly, number 5, it's my favorite. It's taking advantage of your health plan with whoever you're using, whether it's Anthem, Cigna, Blue Shield. I currently have Anthem, and they have a health rewards plan where pretty much you do what you should be doing in the year, which is get a flu shot, do your annual wellness exam. If you do those 2 things, they will give you $100 just for completing those 2 tasks. So obviously it's an incentive or encouragement for you to make sure that you stay healthy, you do your checkups. And I was so excited when I found out that that was offered through Anthem. And I've heard of a lot of health insurance plans offering some type of reward incentive, but that was an easy $100 right there, was just getting a flu shot and doing my annual wellness exam, which is typically covered with my insurance, so it didn't cost me anything out of pocket. Also, they gave me an additional $50 just for confirming my status as being tobacco free. So if you're a non-smoker, then it's such an easy thing to do. You just sign the waiver saying that I'm confirming I'm tobacco free, and that's like the easiest $50 you could make within like less than a minute. And there was also another $50 you can make for just completing an online health assessment. And that took me about like 10 minutes to complete, but it was such an easy $200 that you can get every year. They pretty much mailed me a debit card that I get to keep, and every time that I complete any of those health reward incentives, they automatically deposit the money right onto the card, and I just use it as I please as a regular debit card wherever I want. And that's it. That's 5 different ways I've made some extra money on the side to help pay for my debt that I've accrued over the holidays. It's also great to offset my future budget so that I don't have to tap into my whole budget for the next few months. But I hope that you guys really like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know which one of these 5 was your favorite. Also, let me know if you have 1 or 2 suggestions on quick ways or quick gigs that you've done to make some extra cash on the side. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I hope that you found it really helpful.